Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Grand Baptist Temple in Abu Dhabi, which is also the city's first Hindu temple. PM Modi inaugurated the temple on a two-day visit to the UAE, during which he also participated in the World Government Summit, where he once again echoed the voice of the Global South.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the first Hindu temple in Abu Dhabi. This temple is a unique example of the rich ties between India and the UAE. While addressing the inauguration ceremony, PM Modi said, "The land of UAE has scripted a golden chapter in the history of humanity."
आज यूनाइटेड अरब अमीरात की धरती ने मानवीय इतिहास का एक नया स्वर्णिम अध्याय लिखा है। आज अबू धाबी में भव्य और दिव्य मंदिर का लोकार्पण हो रहा है। ये मंदिर पूरी दुनिया के लिए सांप्रदायिक सौहार्द और वैश्विक एकता का प्रतीक बनेगा।
Indian PM was on a two-day visit to UAE, where he also took part in the World Government Summit as guest of honor and painted his vision for the future of governance in his special address.
ग्लोबल साउथ की आवाज सुननी होगी, उनकी प्राथमिकताओं को सामने लाना होगा। हमें जरूरतमंद देशों के साथ अपने रिसोर्सेज और अपनी कैपेबिलिटीज को शेयर करना होगा। हमें एआई, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस और क्रिप्टो करेंसी, साइबर क्राइम ऐसे पैदा हो रही चुनौतियों के लिए ग्लोबल प्रोटोकॉल बनाने होंगे। हमें अपनी नेशनल सॉवरेनिटी को प्राथमिकता देते हुए इंटरनेशनल लॉ की मर्यादा भी रखनी होगी। इन्हीं भावनाओं पर चलते हुए हम न केवल सरकारों के सामने उपस्थित चुनौतियों का समाधान करेंगे, बल्कि विश्व बंधुत्व को भी मजबूती देंगे। एक विश्व बंधु के रूप में भारत इसी सोच के साथ आगे बढ़ रहा है।
This was Prime Minister Modi's seventh visit to the UAE, which highlighted the growing importance of relations between the two countries in the global geopolitical landscape, during which both sides laid the groundwork for future collaborations and exchanges.
A nuclear-armed, politically unstable nation facing a deep economic crisis. This is the story of today's Pakistan, that is now facing an unprecedented political chaos after the recent elections, leading to protests amid the allegations of rigging of the entire election process. Shops and public transport services in various cities of Pakistan came to a standstill as protests erupted across the country after allegations of vote rigging in the recent elections. People also blocked highways and demonstrated against election results. The February 8 vote was marred by a mobile internet shutdown on election day and unusually delayed results, leading to accusations that it was rigged, drawing concerns from right groups, foreign governments and the people of Pakistan.
No, I do not consider the election free and fair. I believe it was the ugliest, most rigid election in the history of Balochistan and Pakistan. In this election, efforts were made to push the real politician of Balochistan, the actual representative of the people, against the wall.
There is total shutdown and also a wheel jam. How and where should the poor man go in search of work? We appeal to the Supreme Court of Pakistan and the Election Commission of Pakistan to give due right to those who have won elections. All those who have won illegally should not be allowed to come into power.
Elections in Pakistan were held for 264 seats in the National Assembly. Any political party requires 133 seats for a simple majority. However, a hung assembly pushed the country into deeper political instability. The largest number of seats, 93, were won by independent candidates supported by PTI, political party of now jailed former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, followed by 80 seats of Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, the political party of Nawaz Sharif, who has served as the Prime Minister of Pakistan thrice. And with 54 seats, third spot was secured by Pakistan People's Party headed by Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, son of assassinated Prime Minister of Pakistan Benazir Bhutto. Soon after the results were announced, several political candidates filed complaints in courts against the result, calling the vote of 8th February anti-state elections.
I came to file a petition in this so-called election which took place on the 8th of February, which our Grand Democratic Alliance leader Peer Pagara has called an anti-state election. We have filed a petition against the rigging and the manipulation that took place in the election.
One of the political parties, Jamaat-e-Islami, leveled shocking claims of rigging against the Election Commission of Pakistan, threatening to go on protest against the results.
The word rigging is very small for what happened. The results, written by ROs, were read out. We will struggle and we will protest in political and democratic way.
Despite the allegations of rigging and protests, Pakistan's two largest political parties, after wrangling for days over the post of Prime Minister, have now decided to join forces and form a government. However, the leaders are calling the alliance a throne of thorns.
The situation in the country is such that we need to take everyone along. In this connection, Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz is talking to all parties. But there are a lot of challenges. This government is not going to be a bed of roses. It will be a throne of thorns on which we have to sit in order to resolve the problems of the common man.
The instability of the alliance became more visible after three-time Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif refused to lead the coalition government and named his younger brother as the Prime Minister. According to Pakistani political experts, the coalition government is unlikely to last very long or achieve any results.
I don't see this coalition government lasting for a long time. And quite frankly, given the accusations that have been made regarding the election, the integrity of the elections, I don't think any government which comes will be able to withstand the demand for other elections, better managed elections, more honest elections in the near future. So I don't think more than 6 to 9 months, and they'll have to go in for new elections.
Analysts believe the alliance government will push the country into deeper crisis.
We are literally broke, bankrupt, and we borrow everything. We borrow to pay our soldiers their monthly salary. We borrow to pay our peons the monthly salary. So, if that situation has to be corrected, a lot of savings has to be done, a lot of good planning has to take place, and I don't think that the government, which 6 months ago the very opposition that is now in power, was in power 6 months ago, and I don't think they can handle the situation.
The desperate bid to cling on to power has brought together the two political opponents that were in the government 6 months before the elections as well. However, the squabbling over power once again is likely to deepen concerns about the stability of the nuclear-armed nation, which remains mired in an economic crisis and is battling a surge in militant violence arising out of homegrown terror outfits. Bureau Report, DD India. We will take a small break here and be back with more Global South stories on the other side. Keep watching.
Turning crisis into opportunity, transforming ideas into action, stories of real change. tales of sustainable solution. This series is going to tell stories of such changemakers. Watch Changemakers on DD India.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibilities. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India and this is Voice of the Global South. Let's move on to our next story. Tens of thousands of children would likely die as the refugee crisis worsens in war-torn Sudan, claimed the UNICEF. The statement was a cry for help as the humanitarian agencies working in the region come across mounting pressure of increasing number of refugees and rapidly drying aid as it gets diverted to other conflicts around the world.
700,000 children in Sudan are likely to suffer from the worst form of malnutrition this year, including tens of thousands who could die. A dire warning by United Nations Children's Body as living conditions deteriorate for millions who have been displaced in the northeast African nation. Sudan, situated in the northeastern Africa, is going through a civil war for the past 10 months between its armed forces and the paramilitary rapid support forces that has led to the largest displacement of children the world has ever seen.
4 million children have been displaced. That's just over 13,000 children displaced every single day for the past 300 days. Safety gone, worldly possessions gone, hope fading. Second, the consequences of the past 300 days mean that more than 700,000 children are likely to suffer the most dangerous form of malnutrition this year. UNICEF won't be able to treat more than 300,000 of those without improved access and without additional support. In that case, tens of thousands would likely die.
In Port Sudan, we suffer from lack of water. We have to buy drinking water and water for cooking, which is different. We have to pay for electricity. In Khartoum, we did not suffer from all this.
With the devastating impact, the conflict in Sudan has left millions to suffer. The situation in the country has deprived people of their safety, homes, and livelihood. The ongoing crisis has prompted warnings of famine and displaced millions of people inside and outside of the country.
This is a war destroying the concept of respect for the laws of war, and that is killing people. This is a war destroying families' ability to fend for themselves and protect themselves, and that is killing people. But this is also a war destroying opportunity, and that destroys a country. The true cost of war isn't measured just in casualties, but also in the loss of intellectual capital. And this war risks condemning Sudan to a future bereft of learning, innovation, progress, and hope.
The damaged water supplies and crippled healthcare facilities are leading to a rapid spread of diseases, including cholera, measles, and malaria. 3.5 million children were projected to suffer acute malnutrition, making a child 10 times more likely to die from such diseases. Meanwhile, due to various other ongoing conflicts, the humanitarian agencies have not been able to gather enough funds to save lives in war-torn Sudan.
What we see in Sudan is not only the terrible suffering of the people. 19 million children in Sudan unable to return to classrooms. Fighting still going on.
Depleting aid leading to Sudan's shattered healthcare system has caused extreme malnutrition and acute hunger, killing more children than the conflict itself. In the grip of massive humanitarian crisis, Sudan is under the impact of political conflict, economic woes and drought that has caused displacement, raging violence and dire food shortages. People in Sudan are being ignored and forgotten by the international community and largely by the West. Many developing countries in the global south are affected by the outcomes of developed nations and a victim of chronic underfunding.
According to the United Nations definition, a refugee is someone who has been forced to flee his or her country because of persecution, war or violence. According to data, presently the refugee population internationally is around 130.8 million, which means that over 130 million displaced people are living away from their homes in uncertainty of food, shelter or healthcare. These refugees have fled due to crises in their home countries, including conflicts, political persecution, natural disasters, climate change or economic crisis. Currently, 6 out of 7 biggest refugee crises are taking place in the global south. These include Syria, Afghanistan, Venezuela, South Sudan, Central African Republic and Myanmar. While the humanitarian organizations are struggling to provide a respite to these refugees, with the recent conflicts around the world, the situation for them is deteriorating fast. In South African region alone, the number of refugees in the 16 countries is expected to rise to 12.2 million in 2024. Humanitarian crisis and economic instability in the Asia and Pacific region with climate-induced emergencies this year is highly unsupportive of the 15.6 million displaced people. The UNHCR projects that the number of internally displaced people due to conflict and violence will reach almost 63 million by the end of 2024. The Global South is host to about 86% of global refugees despite of the limited resources. Currently, 75% refugees are hosted in low and middle income countries, whereas the developed countries provide asylum to about only 20% of the total refugees in the world. Data on about 4.4 million stateless people residing in 97 countries was reported last year. The true global figure is estimated to be significantly higher. And the most shocking number is that out of 108 million forcibly displaced people, an estimated 43 million people are children below 18 years of age. That amounts to about 40% of the total displaced people around the world. Meanwhile, as noted between 2018 and 2022, 1.9 million children were born as refugees. Rio's annual carnival kicked off on 9th February, which is being participated by hundreds of thousands from around the world. But there are some unpleasant guests this time around, and these are mosquitoes. Ahead of the carnival, authorities in Brazil have declared health emergency as dengue cases are reporting a massive upsurge, stoking fears about the health of the participants of the carnival.
Brazil's iconic Rio Carnival 2024 kicked off with spectacular parades, vibrant street performances and iconic samba dance. Thousands of visitors attended the event from across the globe. The annual cultural festival started on 9th February amid fears of a severe dengue outbreak in the South African nation.
Got dengue twice last year, and it's not easy, but what can we do? We can just care about the water, like in our houses, but here in Carnival, it's not a big problem. We're concerned about just party, and the mosquito, what can we do about it, right?
Vilma Maria, a resident of Rio, is among thousands of residents infected by dengue so far.
I have been feeling this pain for 4 days. A lot of pain in my body, pain in my eyes. I can't even raise my head because I feel like I'm going to faint. People who are feeling these kind of symptoms should come quickly to the hospital so that nothing worse does happen.
In the first 5 weeks of 2024, hundreds of thousands of Brazilians have been infected by dengue, prompting authorities to take emergency measures amid the huge carnival. More than 364,000 dengue cases have been reported in Brazil, that is 4 times more than the same time period last year. Government is now taking emergency measures and has started mass vaccination against the mosquito-borne illness.
With this increase in cases, Rio de Janeiro has a classic dengue epidemic. We have experienced a few dengue epidemics in our history, and now, in the year 2024, we unfortunately have a new epidemic.
While the dengue outbreak in the country hasn't affected the large number of partygoers from enjoying the carnival. On top of the glitter and paint at this year's carnival, revelers in Rio are using insect repellent following warnings from local health officials of a spike in dengue. However, as millions of people gather in the dengue-infested nation, concerns are rising of an upsurge in the number of cases, which has already led to the death of at least 40 people this year. About 400 million people are infected with dengue every year, leading to about 40,000 deaths worldwide. Recent studies have now established that due to global warming, nations of Global South are likely to witness an increase in the number of such outbreaks, due to weather conditions becoming more favorable for the proliferation of such infections and diseases.
An Indian foundation in Uganda is helping improve the lives of elderly people living in the suburbs of the East African country. DD India correspondent Leon Sengyange reports.
Thank you. Bye, Jaja. See you.
Happier than before, 80-year-old Joyce Zawede doesn't always have something to keep her going.
Sometimes I do not have food to eat. We also do not have people to help us. This is very helpful.
Philanthropist Johi Parod, a Ugandan of Indian origin, is behind the initiative to see life here for the elderly change.
You learn to share when you see people sharing. So us, we have learned to give because we've seen our parents giving. And not giving in a way that you're doing someone a favor, no.
According to national statistics, there are close to 4 million elderly people aged 60 years and above living in Uganda. Many of the elderly people living in these slums do not have much access to basics. With no work and income, there is little or nothing to help them get by. Recent research revealed that 2 out of 3 elderly people are caring for young children, while only 1 in 5 elder persons can access credit.
The number of older persons through the improvement of life is increasing. So the problems are also increasing. The challenges are increasing.
Through Juhi and her privately funded Leela Foundation, there is a lease of life for elderly people and children as well. The foundation's name is derived from the Indian word Leela, which means beauty. Over 10,000 people have benefited nationwide.
This happiness that we're trying to spread, we want it to be like a disease. We want it to stay forever. And we want that contagious smile to remain at the back of their heads.
For Zawede and the thousands of other elderly people, this is a time to cherish the joyous moments with the hand that keeps giving. Leon Sengyange in Kampala, Uganda, reporting for DD India.
This is all we have for you in this edition of Voice of the Global South. Let us know your thoughts on the show. You can also connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website ddindia.co.in. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching our special program. News and updates continue on DD India. Keep watching.